for those hurricane damages. And like Al said last week, and Mr. Hanson made a comment up there with FEMA, that they were gonna release some checks. So how do we stand?
Well, through the first 6 months, we've received roughly $900,000.
We're good.
We're done.
Yeah,
We got all we're gonna
we
get?
have.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we've been reimbursed.
Okay.
Technically, I think, last week sometime was the deadline to tie a couple of loose ends with insurance. FEMA we've been long done, just get not.
Okay.
Way back. There's a last little piece of insurance, I forget what the wordage is escaping me here, but it's basically incidentals, I believe it is, when you get up to 100, what is it?
Unscheduled property.
Unscheduled properties. There's $100,000 of basically miscellaneous money left.
Okay.
We got all the things packaged up, there's more than $100,000 worth of that, so we should have one last check for $100,000. Other than that, all the insurance, all the hurricane damages.
That's good. That's good.
Our little storm team did an amazing job at staying on top of that and making sure that we got all of our reimbursements. So kudos to Jessica. I know Sydney worked on some of that, and the whole team did, but I know that you took over that FEMA project, so thank you.
And in reference to that last check, FEMA doesn't allow you to, they call it writing projects, but they don't allow you to write the project for that until the very last thing. And so we couldn't have got that in any earlier than they have, because everything else basically has to be in the works before you can do the summation of that last little bit that they put in.
Thank you.
Did you want to explain?
Yeah, we're gonna, the next item up here.
You might as well stay in the hot
Okay.
seat.
All right.
Yeah, so our next item is to consider amending the budget for capital outlay. And Paul, I'll let you maybe go into a little bit of discussion on that, and then we'll have Michael explain where we are.
Absolutely. And so, in short, there are a couple projects we've talked to y'all about for the past year, the tennis courts at Mackey, the original 4 pods of 3 courts. All of those tennis courts have been needing to be replaced for quite some time. And they have drastically worsened their condition over the past couple of freezes, to the point now where you can put a racket into the cracks and just stand up. And so, with that in mind, we've been looking at whether or not, I got with Betsy and Michael Walker, and we sat down and ran a bunch of numbers, and this is what he'll explain it. Given all that, and given that we've already done most of our handicap selections until late next fall, do we have enough in fund balance to potentially consider just striking a check and getting that done? And so ultimately, I believe we do, and so I was gonna ask y'all to make a motion to allow us to do that. And I'll turn it over to Michael to explain how we got there with the numbers.
I think he provided
This is
y'all
it,
with
yes.
cash flow, an estimated cash flow.
Right.
I did notice that, the second line, I have deficit, so it's a surplus, so sorry about that. So this starts the year, it gives you a cash position at the beginning of the year. It goes through December of, the report I just gave, so cash $6,562,355, which is what I just reported on. From that point on, I use expenditures that were last year, sorry, just duplicated last year. I pulled out any extraordinary amounts. There's no hurricane expenses or revenue that's included in the estimates, so it's more like a normal year. And in using that and coming down to and I went through October, because that's when your heavy tax receipts start hitting.
Right.
So, an estimated cash flow with historical numbers and where we're at in December, I have estimated cash at the end of October of $2,322,611. And then the proposed capital outlay is $700,000. If you pull that out, that leaves you after the proposed capital outlay, $1,622,611 is the proposed cash balance at the end of October, and that's when your heavy tax receipts start, so that you could have plenty of money, you wouldn't have any shortages, and you just continue on. So I don't see any negative impact in going ahead and paying for that.
Question.
Yes.
On August 25, receipts were $693,751, and then August 26, we're estimating $136. Is that due to that? That's about a $500,000 difference Is that due to one of those anomalies that
I'll
we
have
pulled
to
out?
look, I'll look and
Okay.
see,
Okay.
I can look.
That's not a negative, it just would suggest
Yeah.
that we would be in a much better position if
Yeah.
that's all.
So with that in mind, I mean, we're actually asking to see if y'all would consider 700,000. The reasoning behind that is, I've got y'all the quotes here, $492,000 to fix the tennis courts. You know, that was the very lowest we could get any company to get it down there, plus it's the court makers, they're out of North Georgia. And not the pickleball courts, and not the old courts, but the 2019 expansion courts of 6 were by far, according to Keith, and I'm not a tennis player, the best courts we've had. This is the company that put those in, and so we're excited to do business with them. And they've been honoring this quote and updating it since August. And they can't promise that it's not gonna go up if we let this one expire. That's why we're pushing this right now. But, the rest of the money would go to be set aside for us to start shopping for vehicles and, potentially a tractor. If y'all know, we had, one tractor got grand theft autoed from Bolton a little while back. They drove out through some stuff on that. Anyhow, we haven't replaced that yet. But also the vehicles that were supposed to be purchased in the 24-25 budget, those capital outlay monies ended up going into the senior center. All the damage that was over there, we had to put in about $115,000 HVAC system for that pool room. And then about a $30,000 HVAC system for the main multi-purpose room in order to get that reopened. And that was tied to, you know, trying to get it back open, but not covered under damages from the hurricane. So that's where the capital outlay was there, and why we're asking for some additional funds now, so we can start shopping for some vehicles. We've got a number that are, at that point, they're gonna need monies that are, we'd rather get out from under them than keep repairing.
I think also it's important to point out on the tennis court situation, the longer we wait and the more the courts continue, the cracks continue to get larger. We're gonna be in a mess if we have to completely tear up and redo the whole thing. Right now, they feel that they can come in, patch the cracks and place the new surface, and it's a lot less money than if we continue to let the expansion of the gaps grow, and then they have to come in and bust it up and start over, so.
It was actually 1.9 million was the only reasonable bid we got.
1.9 versus 492,000 if we go ahead and have the work done.
Well, main principle, bigger the cracks, water is the enemy of the foundation of the facility, and the longer it stays, the more damage it is. The sooner you can close it, fix it, otherwise you're wasting good money.
It's too beautiful of a park. Also, you know, I mean, as we push for sports tourism, we cannot, those courts are not playable for competitive play when it comes to tournaments, so that takes all of those courts out of play.
Well, and I forgot to mention again, but we, are very much in belief that we get $60,000 reimbursable grant back from USDA after we pull the trigger on this, so that would obviously help a little bit.
I don't know what it is.
My understanding, it depends, you know, day to day whether or not all the other crews get tied up, but they were saying that if we could get this done today, they'll drive down tomorrow to get the check, and they'll have people out here right away. It's more working around Keith than anything else. They said they could do all the work within 2 months, but they could even go faster than that depending on, you know, whether or not he needs them to move around and leave some pods open, or they can just jump on all of them.
It'd be available in good shape by late spring.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and that, I mean, and that is the idea, I think, because of some big tournaments that he's trying to host, is if we're gonna do the work, now is the ideal time to get it done. And especially before big rains start coming in. So I guess the biggest question is, are we willing to amend the budget for these capital outlay projects? All in favor? Aye. None opposed?
Maybe we, from a capital outlay project, is there maybe a recommendation to move forward with that, or is the facilities committee already made that recommendation?
I don't think the
go with port makers and everything else, yeah, we've done that already. I think we're just ready to move forward.
And before we move on from Mackey, very specifically, because it's come up quite a bit, even today, it popped up again. Jessica, you wanna give them an update on where we're at with that?
Sure. So, the Patterson Street Playground, that parking lot has been a source of serious, heartburn and contention, especially, now that it's started to get a little nicer outside. We have had multiple calls from multiple upset parents that wanna take their children to play at that playground, and the parking lot is completely full, overfull, to the point where you can't get in, turn around, anything, and there's nobody at the playground to park, and it's all VSU students who are parking and walking across the street. So, we've been looking into, the best ways to deter. I've been in a conversation with, Matthew Lawrence about it, and then also I have followed up with a tow company, a couple of tow companies, to see what the logistics are and the laws are surrounding towing from property, government property, private property, fill-in-the-blank property. So what I have found is that, legally, if someone is going to do non-consensual towing, which is what this is, they have to have a permit with the state, and there are 2 tow companies in the city of Valdosta that have that. One of them, the one that I've talked to, they do towing for the Valdosta Housing Authority, so they do government towing for other places. They do towing for SGMC. And so we would just have to enter into an annual tow-away contract. That's part of the rules. There's no cost to us. There is no fees or monies exchanged between us and the tow company at any time. It is just an annual contract that says they come out, they put up their sign. The sign legally has to include a certain number of things, like who's towing, this is unauthorized parking for whatever reason. And we could also put up our own signage attached that says what the parking use is for, and anything outside of this use of parking is subject to tow. So, then their sign says who they are, what their address is, what their phone number is, and what the fees are. All of that is mandated by state law. And the fee is mandated by state law. They cannot charge varying rates or fees based on whatever they want to. And then part of that contract is that they cannot just go and tow at will. On the contract, it lays out who the contact persons are. So it will have the names of people at Parks and Rec that can call and order a car to be towed, which was my concern, because I don't want somebody's mama to come in here and be mad and say, you towed my child when they were playing tennis. So I would want us to be very purposeful and careful. This is not something that I want to do. It is more of a deterrence than anything else. And be very specific about if that's something that we do, we have photographs, we have evidence of somebody leaving and going across the street. But I don't wanna do it. I just wanna be able to have the signs to scare them straight.
What is the current signage?
There's no signage. Because we didn't really have any, there's nothing to back it up. So this is us looking at.
Because, we used to have this issue on Burton.
And
It
that's,
was a major
yeah.
issue, and then we put signs, remember? And it has fixed that problem.
So, we couldn't put anything about towing in there, is the only thing. Like, there was nothing, because it's street parking, so it's truly public parking. It's not, the difference between that is that that's street parking, this is an actual lot. So we can be a little more firm with the lot than we can be the street parking, from what I understood. It's very nuanced there.
Well, it's a major difference in law.
Yeah.
Public right away, one thing, private lots, no.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, the signage really did help along Burton.
I think we've had something up there before, I don't really recall, it's been a while. It waxes and wanes as to when it's a problem sometimes, Obviously, when school's out, not a problem. And then every now and then, in the past, we've maybe asked we've either sat out there and told people don't park here, we've asked the issue police to go out and sit out there and say, hey, this is not school parking.
Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse.
It is.
As a mom of a college student in a busy college town, and I'm on the phone with her some days, and she's in tears because she's like, there's nowhere to park. I think it's an issue in every college town. And And so she hits freak mode that she's gonna be late to class, and she has been known to park in places that she's not supposed to park, you know? So, I get it, yeah, we paid some heavy parking fines, 2 of them, but I don't know, I don't know if we go straight to towing, or if we try to place some signage to see if we can deter some of it, I don't know, what are your
Use a
thoughts?
little cheater tactic maybe, instead
Well-
of forcing tow.
The sign with, just because the sign's there doesn't mean we have to call them.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, the
Okay.
sign that says they'll
So
be
we-
towed
we
is
can go-
probably gonna be enough.
But we can go into that contract with them, and so if we do need to use it, we have it.
Correct, and there's no money exchanged.
But we
At all.
have to call them to come and tow, or they can?
We
okay.
have to call. The general public cannot call and say, there's all these cars here, but I don't have a spot to park.
The tow company can't initiate it either.
They cannot.
That was my
Legally, they
question.
cannot.
But I think you can put a sign up, if we wanted to just try a sign first, you can be very specific on the sign, to say no VSU student parking. You can be very specific to say even vehicles may be towed. I mean, we put signs up all over the county that say this area is under video surveillance, and it may or may not be whenever we have issues as far as illegal dumping, and we made it through the lawyers as far as that stuff goes, just because you say that it may be, doesn't mean that it has to be. I mean, if you're not, yeah, we're comfortable going right to the contract with it, because that brings on its own set of issues. There's still the potential that we're gonna tow somebody that shouldn't be towed. I mean, I feel like there could be a conversation in the future where we're deciding whether or not we're gonna pay the tow fee for someone because we accidentally towed the wrong car, kinda, I mean, there's just a lot of logistics. And to do that, then you're gonna send staff over there to try to determine if it's students or if it's park, I mean, who it is. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes in on our end to get the parking lot cleared, like, maybe we just try the signs first before.
That's what I think, we just try to sign it first.
I recommend that you all use the spring to put up the warning signs, and if that helps moderate it, fine. If not, then in the spring, staff bring back a report, and then we move forward with the tolling. So when fall comes, because my experience in Rome and in Athens is every year is a new year to educate. So, if it doesn't work this spring, then we have to take the next step.
I do think we can send communication to the students. We also have shared parking at our students too. So every once in a while, they'll call us and say, hey, your students are parking in their own parking lot. And then we possibly, we might can, and I don't know, this would be between the authority and the institution, but we might, with the permission of the authority, just ticket students in that lot, which wouldn't necessarily deter parking, because some don't mind paying the ticket, but
Well, cause the parents are
Well,
there,
that's
so
right.
we're technically not punishing the violator, we're punishing the violator's parents.
punishing the fine.
I think we should try the sign first. That would be my recommendation, is let's try a sign to let them know you're not supposed to be parking here, and let's see, and then, I mean, like Al said, maybe through spring semester.
It could be specific to say no student parking.
And to work with Vince and the
For
university.
park purposes only,
See, that's,
not student parking.
yeah, no student parking. I would definitely want to, if we are allowed to be as specific as that to say no student
Oh,
parking, I
yeah,
would like to
sure,
include
you can
that.
do that.
Yeah.
You could
I would-
also put something up in that building over there, maybe there's a way to put some flyers and stuff in there that says, do not park across the street, in the park parking, you may be towed. I mean, there's,
Need a motion to that effect?
We do need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Sign.
All in favor for you to come up with signage, and let's try it through the spring and then revisit. Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye, no opposed?
Wood Valley Center has been down for about 6 weeks. If you remember, it was squirrels. They were just, squirrels got in there, but man, they wiped the place out, and they did it all over Christmas break. So we came back after 2 days, and they had on separate ends of the building, two piping, and so it just flooded all over. It's about to be open again. We're within probably about 7 to 10 days of having it done.
I need some cats in the animal shelter.
We have a squirrel trap up in the ceiling right now to make sure there's no
I'll
squirrels
stop
up
you a
in.
cat colony for a
working on that, but it should be open again very soon. Aside from that, the Clarkville Playground, there are people down there working on it right now. It is officially being put back in, our new playground being put in. And with that also, probably haven't had near as many complaints about this, but there are some over in Library Park in, right in the middle of, downtown Lake Park. The primary playground structure was fine, but the swing set got wiped out. That's also being replaced by the same people, both of which should be done this week for the main play sets, and maybe through next week before we get all the pour and play surface and stuff. But those are gonna make it there, right there.
Excellent. That is great news.
Yes. All right, Bingo Park Trail.
So, a pilot at New Air Force Base, her name is Brianna, she reached out to us, last week. She's been, very enthusiastic, and she moves fast, about, Glendale Park. She comes from a different area of the country where there's lots and lots of trails, lots of open space, and she likes to trail run. And so she came upon Glendale Park and started asking questions and wanted to do a trail cleanup. She did the right thing by coming to us first and not just going out there and trying to do cleanup without, that coordination. So we coordinated with her. She has a group, that is going out there. They are signing up through our website and signing waivers. We are requiring them to all have waivers to be at the park. We also are not providing them any equipment, so to not take on our own liability with our equipment. They know that they are to only clear out what's already on the ground. We have lots of parameters for them. So, we've reached out to other parks and rec agencies. People all across the country do this. This is not new or different or unique. Lots of trail organizations in Athens, they've got huge ones in Athens. And then also in other places that are mountainous, that frankly, they do a lot of work. So, she is, we're working with her on, the parameters in which she will operate and how we can work together to continue to clean up Glendale Park. So we're really excited about that. And we see an opportunity, not only here, but in other areas, to be, more active, I think, with our volunteer base in the community and utilize volunteers for cleanups, utilize volunteers for other areas. We use a lot of volunteers for, sports, but not everybody can commit to 6 to 8 weeks of coaching a team at a very intense pace, and schedule. And so, there are opportunities throughout our community for other folks with different interests to volunteer. So I'm excited about branching that out and maybe using this as our launching pad for that. And then, would you like me to go ahead straight on to the report? Okay. So the prescribed burn, as far as I know, we're in a burn ban right now in the county, but the Georgia Forestry Commission, it's their thing, but we have gotten all of the prep work done. We have talked to, Williams County, they're aware, so they can help us put out the messaging. Whenever the burn does happen, we have spoken to Public Affairs at the Air Force Base, so they're aware. All of the messaging is ready to go. We're ready to hit send as soon as they give us the go-ahead.
And since we had the last board meeting, we met out there with a couple of the guys under Ken Burns. That's the only one I spoke with before. But he sent some of his people over one morning. We drove all through the park, walked it. And a couple days after, I had a video from our crew leader. They had the helicopter out with the chainsaws that dropped, cleaning up some of the burn lanes, or fire breaks, I guess they call it. So I don't know, we haven't had any word that they're actually ready to go, but they're definitely taking it serious and getting the site built. So, unless I know who's possible.
You say helicopter dropping chainsaws?
I've got a video of it on my phone. Basically, it's a helicopter flying on with a huge, long, essentially a saw, a bunch of saw blades below it, and they just fly along, cutting the tree line. It was something. It was something. Anyway.
Footnote, be sure that all the E911 and all those people, just before you kick off, so they all know.
Absolutely.
Because there'll be a lot of,
We're ready to.
a lot of busy folks that call in.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And our ban is on residential burning only, so the prescribed burning is still under forestry's discretion.
Okay, is there anything else?
I think that's it.
Alright, with that being said, our next regular scheduled meeting will be March 18th. there are no other questions or discussion, I'll take a